Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to give a ministerial statement to update Parliament on the civil service reform undertaken by the Fijian government to the Civil Service Reform Management Unit. But before I specifically speak on that, Madam Speaker, I thought it wise to bring it to the attention of Parliament in respect of the many comments that have been made, in particular by the opposition, that are factually incorrect. And the reason why I'm raising this now, Madam Speaker, is because yesterday I issued a statement on the Walesi program and the update on that. And in that we had specifically said that the Walesi actually had a separate board. I also mentioned who was the chairman of the board. I also mentioned it had a limited liability company. And Madam Speaker, notwithstanding that the opposition continued to misrepresent, so much so, the National Federation Party Facebook page, which I have printed off, says at the bottom of it, apart from saying all the other things and claiming what wonderful things their leader said, it says the Walesi National Digital Television Platform is managed by the FBC, Fiji Broadcasting Corporation, of which its chief executive, Aiyaz-Sayed Khaiyum, is younger brother of the Attorney General. This is the kind of facts that they supposedly are going out and telling the public. And the reason, Madam Speaker, why I'm raising this is because this subject matter is raised in this Parliament. If they have the audacity to say these kind of things after things have been made in Parliament, imagine what they're saying out there. This, Madam Speaker, led to the chairman of Walesi having to issue, which is Sharvada Sharma, who is the Solicitor General, having to release a media statement correcting this. This, Madam Speaker, is a level of politics that is being played, both inside and outside this House. Madam Speaker, 2017 was a big year for the reforms with consolidation of the changes that started in 2016 and new initiatives which continue to modernize our civil service and create the working environment that will attract high-caliber people who can deliver the services needed by the Fijian people. As you are aware, Madam Speaker, we are fully committed to open merit recruitment and selection for all positions in the civil service from January 2016. The principles of open merit were strengthened in 2017 through the introduction of an independent appeal mechanism, the procedure review process which adds transparency and accountability to the already robust systems through the ability for applicants to request a review of the process directed to the Public Service Commission. The next stage of modernizing our civil service, Madam Speaker, was through the introduction of changes to discipline. In the past, Madam Speaker, discipline has been used to punish people who are not performing or not doing the right thing. The discipline guideline starts the real process of culture change in ministries, moving away from direct and control, punishing those who don't do the right thing, to coach, encourage and reward those who do the right thing. It's a cultural shift, Madam Speaker. This, Madam Speaker, is about starting to create the type of workplace where people want to do the right thing, where they take pride in their work, and where ministries are seen as employers of choice, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this is the kind of workplace modernization that's taking place in the civil service. Of course, Madam Speaker, we know that creating pleasant places to work isn't enough. Therefore, the second major change in 2017 was the development of modern, streamlined salary bands benchmarked to the private sector. The comprehensive research that went into developing the salary bands cannot be understated. There were 2 World Bank review reports and additional research undertaken by the consulting partners Strategic Pay, New Zealand, and PricewaterhouseCoopers of Fiji. Excuse me. The resulting job evaluation and civil service reform, the resulting job evaluation and civil service remuneration setting guideline provided the policy basis for the new salary bands, confirmed position-based pay for the civil service, and set the platform to enable performance payments to be introduced in 2018. Implementation required a comprehensive job evaluation exercise conducted by internationally trained and accredited officers from within the civil service that moved all jobs in the civil service from the old occupational scales across to the new bands. All civil servants were eligible for salary increases as a result, as the jobs were benchmarked to similar jobs in the private sector. In our update on reforms at this time last year, Madam Speaker, we highlighted that the successful job evaluation payment of staff on new salary bands would be reliant on the work of the ministries themselves. We confirmed that jobs needed to be accurately documented and evaluated to ensure they are allocated to the right level on the new scales. This was a huge opportunity to revisit some roles, amend them to take account of the ministry review reports, and ensure that work is varied, multi-skilled, and outcomes-focused. One example of a profession that did this well was nursing, as illustrated through the recognition of specialized nursing positions such as midwifery, before they were lumped together. Other professions failed to take advantage of this opportunity. However, Madam Speaker, because of the approach taken through the reforms, ensuring training of staff in all ministries, and establishing the job evaluation leadership team, job evaluation is now becoming part of normal work. And as jobs are better documented or reviewed, they can be re-evaluated in any amendments made, Madam Speaker, which is currently happening with some of the positions. This particular reform has ensured that the civil service can become self-reliant, able to change and meet the demands of the public for different services and different jobs with, of course, the salary to match. The salary increases that have been confirmed were significant, with some positions receiving up to 76.2% pay increases, with nurse practitioners receiving one of the highest increases in the civil service, from $24,500 to $43,200. Given such increases, Madam Speaker, the bold step was taken to ensure that everyone understood that performers would be required to retain positions and to receive the higher salaries. Where the increases were above 15%, positions were declared vacant and any incumbents redeployed to ensure their continuity of employment. The merit process for the positions declared vacant is ongoing and has resulted in a shift in attitudes that will be measurable within the next few years in terms of service delivery. For example, Madam Speaker, in the Ministry of Education, Heritage and Arts, the heads of school positions have significantly changed in recent years. With the introduction of the free education grant and the expectations of school-based managers, this has meant that the responsibility levels of the positions have significantly risen, and a broad range of skills is required to lead and manage a school. The job evaluation results reflect these requirements with increased salaries. For example, Madam Speaker, for a principal of a high school, a large high school I should say, the previous salary grade was ED 1D with a salary base of $42,691. The salary has now been assessed at $86,961.80. An increase, Madam Speaker, of more than $43,000 per annum. This is possibly a 103% increase. Similarly, Madam Speaker, for a head teacher in a primary school, at a large primary school, the previous salary grade was ED1B, with a base salary of $39,997. The salary has now been assessed at $65,555.10 per annum. Again, Madam Speaker, an increase of more than 100%. Of course, both the health and education sectors saw considerable increases. In terms of pay increases for professions after performance assessment, at the fully competent step, the following technical positions could see considerable increases: senior surveyors, town planners, veterinarians, and dental officers. These pay increases are in line with the Fijian government's efforts to appropriately remunerate officers who have jobs of a technical nature. Madam Speaker, given the significant increase in the salary, we cannot simply give the reassessed job to the incumbent. A proper assessment is required to ensure that the person selected for the position is capable and competent for the duties and obligations of the role. Accordingly, and as we have already said, where there was a salary increase more than 15%, these positions were advertised to attract the best people for the position. Indeed, Madam Speaker, they've been rolling out how to go and apply for these positions. They've been helping them as to how to do their CVs and how to answer questions. Notwithstanding that, recently we've seen in some of the positions that have been advertised in the Ministry of Education, some of the principals and teachers have simply given a one-line answer in the assessment. So obviously, if a teacher who is more diligent will do a lot better in the interview if they actually give a thorough analysis as to what their plans are in respect of how they will perform their roles. A full remuneration review requires that we examine not only the salary scales, but also the allowances and other benefits received by civil servants. We have commenced a progressive review of the general orders to modernize them and develop an overall approach to remuneration that will ensure that civil servants are fairly compensated, do not lose any overall benefit to what they receive now, but wherever possible, the administration costs of paying salaries and allowances are minimized. While this review of the general order is taking longer than expected, this has been caused by the data collection requirements to provide evidence of who is receiving allowances and whether they are captured under job evaluation. There is also a lot of research required into reasons for allowances, as the background to some of our allowances has been lost over time, and prior justification for allowances is no longer relevant. One such allowance, Madam Speaker, that has recently been confirmed is a scarce skills allowance, which attaches to positions that are declared as scarce skills, ensuring that we can pay market rates and attract suitable staff to these positions. There are some positions that's required in government that generally those skill sets aren't available. To be able to attract the best people, we need to be able to pay them an additional allowance to be able to retain them. This allowance, Madam Speaker, specifically mentioned the job evaluation guideline, and I urge the members of the Parliament to read, in particular those on the other side, before they make comments on the civil service reforms. And we are pleased to confirm that details have been now documented and positions declared as scarce skills will be able to be advertised as such and remunerated accordingly. We know some confusion among civil servants and the public in relation to the requirement to sign a contract to receive the higher salary rates. We reconfirm that fixed-term contracts for civil servants were introduced in 2009. And when the implementation of the job evaluation commenced, over 70% of civil servants were already on fixed-term contracts. We amended the regulation in 2017 to provide for contracts for up to 5 years in duration, and all civil servants were offered contracts to move to the new salary bands. This was important to demonstrate the understanding of the performance requirements attached to the higher salaries. Moving on to performance requirements, Mr. Speaker, the new performance management framework was released by the Public Service Commission in November 2017. We acknowledge past attempts to measure performance, but data collected through the CSRMU has confirmed our belief that the system was not robust. It measured some effort, but not outcomes. When you have a ministry that reports less than 30% achievement of the ministry's KPIs, but the staff performance results are over 80%, you have to conclude that something is not right. Obviously, the work plan of the ministry, it only achieves 30%, budget spend is very low, but they all rate themselves to be 80%, obviously something is amiss. This data, along with comprehensive international and local research from the World Bank, was used to develop the performance management framework. Training is currently underway in ministries to ensure that all staff are prepared for the assessment phase, which will occur in April of this year. The performance management framework, Madam Speaker, introduces robust evidence-based performance assessments. Employees prepare the individual work plan, which is matched to the operational plan of the ministry, ensuring that everyone knows what is required of them and how their work contributes to the overall achievements of the ministry, ensuring that the efforts are concentrated in the right direction. Performance is then able to be rewarded based on the evidence of outputs and outcomes, not on feelings or unsubstantiated claims of performance. This approach, Madam Speaker, is directly linked to ministries themselves having better planning documents in place, ensuring that the objectives are well documented and aligned to the National Development Plan, thereby, Madam Speaker, ensuring that all efforts are prioritized and directed where they are needed most. The reforms are directly supporting the implementation of the changes to the planning cycle that were recommended by the World Bank, Madam Speaker. In their budget submissions this year, ministries are required and will be required to present costed operational plans to fully justify their budget requests. One of the trends we've also started, Madam Speaker, is that we want them to give us their budget for the next 2 or 3 years too, so we can plan better. This builds a level of accountability and transparency into this process, and we have been working towards for some time, and provides the institutional platform for measuring individual performance that is critical to ensuring appropriate service delivery for the Fijian people. The performance management framework introduces the modern approach of a combination of increments and performance payments to reward the achievements of employees. The new salary bands were created to enable this to occur. Employees move to the step on the band that matches the performance up to step 4, which is the private sector benchmark step. There is no need to move one step at a time. This is true performance pay. So if they move to step 1 in transition, but are assessed as fully competent, they move to step 4, Madam Speaker. Above step 4, the step is paid as a lump sum performance payment. So if an employee is assessed as consistently exceptional, step 7, which is step 7, they receive a one lump sum payment of the difference between the step 4 and step 7, and their fortnightly pay continues on step 4. The performance management framework also confirms, which is, Madam Speaker, what you call in the private sector a bonus, which is what civil servants have not been receiving. The performance management framework also confirms that where employees are fully performing the requirements of the jobs, their contracts can be renewed without advertising the posts. Madam Speaker, we have announced many times that the requirement to advertise expiring contracts was temporary, and that when we have robust performance data to confirm whose contracts will be renewed, then this will happen. Obviously, this will take some time to introduce, as any expiring contract should be advertised at least 6 months prior to expiry. So with the first assessments under this new system occurring in April, contract renewals will continue to occur again for contracts expiring 6 months after that. The World Bank institutional reviews have continued to provide us with research from international jurisdictions where change is already happening, and we can learn from the experience in better aligning our service delivery to the Fijian people, which is the utmost objective of civil service. This means, Madam Speaker, that ministries will focus on their core business, and some centralized services will enable them to better provide their core business. For example, Madam Speaker, we want the Ministry of Education to focus on the provision of education, not on buildings and infrastructure. Our centralized construction implementation unit provides this internal service across government to enable all ministries to better focus on the core service delivery and actually develop the level of expertise. The Civil Service Act and regulations were also reviewed in 2017 in order to ensure that they align with the changes being made. This ensured that there is no inconsistency in our legal framework covering the civil service. The pace of change is increasing. In 2016, we implemented one guideline. In 2017, we implemented the 2 guidelines already mentioned, the job evaluation and remuneration setting guideline and the discipline guideline. And we started the implementation of the 3rd, which is performance management. The final guideline, Madam Speaker, learning and staff development, is on track for presentation to the Public Service Commission in April of this year. This final plan guideline will complete the overall focus of providing guidance to permanent secretaries on how they should manage their constitutional authority and maintain consistency across the service. The civil service reforms are moving into a phase of consolidation, reviewing progress and moving forward to embed the reforms into the everyday business of ministries and the way they manage and reward their staff. But this doesn't mean that there are no further new initiatives coming. We are pleased to announce plans for a comprehensive government road safety campaign as the next important phase of reform. This campaign, Madam Speaker, will seek to address the underlying attitudes of senior officers who direct their drivers to speed or behave unsafely on our roads. The focus for the campaign will be on government vehicles setting the right example, obeying road rules and being courteous to others. We know that this will require culture change, and that's at the heart of the reforms, respect for the public, enabling better service delivery. We also recognize, Madam Speaker, how these new steps will be for all civil servants and for their service to the public. We are committed to ensuring modern, attractive terms and conditions of employment. As part of our stakeholder engagement, we have reached out to the respective unions, and recognizing that not all civil servants are members of a union, we've also consulted directly with our employees. We've had some very useful and productive discussions with all of our stakeholders as we develop our policies and guidelines, Madam Speaker. We will, of course, Madam Speaker, continue to meet with our stakeholders and get constructive feedback on the implementation. Madam Speaker, it is timely to acknowledge the assistance from our key development partners in this ambition program of reforms. Following international best practice, it is our government who has the vision of where we are headed, and our development partners who are supporting us to achieve this vision. These partners are the World Bank through the institutional reviews of ministries and their research supporting the guidelines which are the backbone of the reforms, and Australia, Madam Speaker, who has provided technical assistance to support the implementation of the guidelines. For example, we're doing a review of the Fiji Procurement Office in respect of our procurement competencies. We are looking at now, Madam Speaker, and currently hopefully finalised in the next couple of months, online tendering now. All the tenders will be online. It creates a new level of transparency, and of course it brings about the safeguards that we currently may not necessarily have, where people come and physically deposit things in boxes, etc. The Civil Service Reform Management Unit will continue with the extensive communication and training program to ensure that all civil servants understand how the changes will affect their terms and conditions of employment. The next stage of the communication strategy aims to reach out directly to members of the public so they too understand the extent of the changes and what they can expect from the civil servants, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, of course there has been a lot of misinformation spread about the civil service reform process. I'm sure we'll hear some more after this. But hopefully, Madam Speaker, that people will be able to understand what precisely we are doing, and these are the reforms that we've implemented, which have actually been welcomed by most of the civil servants. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you.